What's going on YouTube? This is Rybo at the bench, and today I have another cut or carry watch review. I have a deficit of watch reviews on this channel just because watches are a little bit harder to buy and sell than knives, at least in my opinion. But today, get a chance to look at the SARB017 or the Alpinist. So this is a beautiful watch from Seiko, and I have the overhead light on. Let's see if it's any better. I don't know if that's better or worse. I don't think that's really any difference at all, so I'll just leave it on. But this is a really fantastic green dial with gold accents on the indices. Very popular Seiko. So this is going for, I believe, around $400 right now at the moment. This was loaned into me by my buddy Russ, so thank you, Russ. I've gotten a chance to wear this and check this watch out, and I have some thoughts. So let's do some size checks. I'm not going to do a comparison of other watches just because I don't happen to have any on the bench right now, but we will check all of the regular specs. So this is a 20 millimeter lug or strap width, lug width, whatever you want to call it. 30, I'm measuring on the case diameter right around 39.1, 39.2. I believe that this is billed as a 38 millimeter, and it's probably because, let me show something on the case in a second, but I'm going to measure right there. Yeah, so I get close to 38 right there, and you can kind of see that you have this top bezel, and so if you measure from the bezel to bezel diameter, you're getting right under 38. If you measure the case diameter, though, I'm getting right over 38, closer to 39. So it is a little bit larger than the 38 that they advertise. The lug to lug, or this measurement right here, which I think is probably the most helpful when determining if you can wear a watch, is 46.3. That is very modest. Usually you'll have watches that are creeping up to around 50 millimeters there. So that is a very good size. That means that this watch is going to fit a lot of people. I have the world timer on right now, but I'll slip this on to my other wrist if I can do it safely. And I won't buckle the entire NATO because I just want to give you an idea of what this watch looks like on wrist. If I can do this. This is on a toxic NATO right now, a nice green toxic shiznit, but this watch looks very good on a bracelet. Honestly, it wears fairly well on a lot of straps. It is green and gold, so you're going to have a little bit of trouble kind of matching that, but man, what an incredible dial. Really nice. All right, let me slip this off, and I'll give a rundown and then talk about the things that I like and dislike about the Alpinist. So this is, as I said, 38 millimeters, 20 mil lug width. It's about 12 millimeters, I think, in terms of the thickness. Let's see. Yeah, 12.1. And 200 meters water resistance, which is really nice. And that's kind of what makes this thing more of a sport watch. Think Rolex Explorer, that kind of vibe. This is like Seiko's version of that, I guess. So 200 meters water resistance, and you have a sapphire crystal that, I don't know if I don't think there's any AR coating on there, but you can see very nice crystal. And this has the 6R15 movement, and this particular model, you'll see right there, has the DiaShock, which is supposed to help absorb hits and whatnot a little bit better, trying to make this an all-around sport watch. And you can see that this is not running right now, and I thought that I would go ahead and wind this up. So if I unwind this all the way, start winding, hopefully you'll see that second hand start to go in just a second. There we go. Thought that might be a little bit fun. So this is, first of all, things that I like. So this is a beautiful watch. That is probably the number one thing that I like. This is an absolutely stunning watch. I really like the dial. Now this is maybe a dial that you will have a little bit of trouble matching to everyday wear because it's so bright and vivid and very, not in your face, but that's a bright dial, and that's a very stunning shade of green. Plus the gold accents, but I really like it altogether. One thing that I really like is it has gold on the watch, but it's two-tone because you have the silver case. A lot of times when you have gold on a watch or you have a gold case, that really limits what you can do and kind of how versatile the watch is, in my opinion. When you have the two-tone like that, I think it really, really helps, and so I like that a lot. I absolutely love not only the dial color and the sunburst effect of it, but I like the dial design. So you have this rotating compass bezel in here, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. But besides that, that's the chapter ring up there. But besides that, you have just a beautiful, beautiful dial. You have what looks to be applied indices, what looks to be some type of applied logo right there, a black date wheel, which I think fits very nicely. All around just really, really nice. You have kind of the, I don't know what you'd call this, the fake Mercedes hand, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I do think it gives it that kind of explorer look. So I like the dial. I mean, that's probably the number one thing I like about this watch. Other things, I love how thin this watch is. 12 millimeters for an automatic watch like this. This guy is just a very, very versatile size. So, I mean, given the short lug to lug, 12 millimeters thick, being a 20 mil watch and about 38, 39 millimeters, this is like a perfect watch for me. This fits my wrist very, very well. Not too big, not too small. It's got enough wrist presence, especially with the color, but it's not too big, not too bulky. It really does slide under the shirt cuff very nicely. You can wear this with a double pass-through NATO there, and that kind of adds some bulk to it, but it's okay because the watch is so small. So the size, the dial, overall, those are really, really nice things about the watch. It's got some kind of elegance, but it also seems like a sporty watch that you want to kind of go off an adventure. And that sounds ridiculous because we go through watches and knives so much that we don't actually, experience them. But this is a watch that you would want to do things in. I don't know, that's the best way that I can describe it. This watch makes me want to, well, this is going to sound ridiculous because I just said you should go do things, but this watch makes me want to pull out a book, like pull out, High Adventure by Edmund Hillary, or, one of those kind of adventure books and just get lost. This is one of those kind of watches. And you probably just turned off the video because that sounds absolutely ridiculous, but hey, I'm a nerd. Other things that I like about this watch, 20 mils is fantastic. I like that a lot. Makes sense for this watch, 100%. And I like the idea of the rotating bezel here. Now, this is supposed to be a compass bezel. I don't know how to use it. I don't know that many people will, but it is at least cool in theory. It's very neat to see where you can kind of mess with something here that is going to have some effect on the dial beneath. I know one time watches were described to me as the reason that people liked watches is because it's kind of a universe behind a glass. It's kind of a snow globe, right? You get to look into this world that's happening underneath this glass. This is pretty cool when you can play around with this compass bezel. I don't know how practical it's going to be for anybody day to day, but it is at least very, very neat looking. And then final other thing that I like about this watch, the lume is very good. I mean, that is not shocking. And let me see if I can charge this up. I doubt that it's going to work because it's so bright in here. But perhaps you can see that this has a very nice lume, which is not surprising given that it's a Seiko. Seiko is, possibly the master of lume in production watches right now. But man, fantastic lume. Just looks really, really great, kind of in all lights. And just a really, really nice watch. Okay, so things that I don't like about the Alpinist. Only a couple things. So one, the compass bezel, this is free spinning. You don't lock this down. I have concerns about the 200 meters water resistance given the fact that this is just pretty open. It turns very, very easily. You can't really screw it down or anything. Doesn't pop in or pop out. And really my biggest issue with this is that when I set this, so I set this red north to, let's just say 6 o'clock, I will come back and look at my watch a couple minutes later, and this has inevitably bumped and is now out of line. So you can't really use it for time telling like you might a diver's bezel or something like that, which would be a potential use for something like this if it would stay put. But unfortunately, this gets bumped really easily, and I just find that it always misaligns. So there's really no keeping that straight. So that's a little bad. And besides that, really the only fault that I can find with the watch is the sapphire crystal smudges very easily. I noticed that when I look down at the watch, even if I feel like I just cleaned it off, oftentimes it is smudged up pretty bad. That's to me, that's characteristic of a Seiko. I have that on a lot of my Hardlex Seikos, but I believe that this is a sapphire crystal. I will correct that in the comments below if I am wrong about that, but I believe that this is a sapphire crystal. And so that's just one thing that I've noticed. That's a beautiful dial. I want to look at it all the time, and I tend to notice that it smudges very, very easily. But apart from that, I love this watch. I'm a little bit torn because I've wanted one of these SARBs for a while. And after trying this one out, I definitely love it. I'm a little torn if I would actually wear the green dial as much as maybe the white dial. So, I definitely want to own a SARB at some point in the future. I'm just not positive if it's going to be this one. Cut or carry for me, this would be a carry. I think a lot of the watches that I've reviewed on the channel are carry because the ones that I don't like, I tend to flip pretty quickly. But this is a carry. I really, really like this watch. I think it is a perfect size. This is... this would be in that contender of, one watch for the rest of my life. This is one that comes close. I don't know if I could go without a dive bezel on my one watch, but this is a watch you can dress up or dress down, maybe apart from the green dial, but otherwise just a phenomenal watch. All right. Hope you have enjoyed this review, and I'll see you next time.